It begins with a moment that most people will never see. In the early hours of the morning, long before the world's news networks start broadcasting, military radar screens begin to light up. Operators sitting inside underground command centers notice the first signal, then another, then dozens more. At first, it looks like a technical error, but within seconds, the truth becomes clear. These are not glitches, they are missiles. Hundreds of kilometers away, launch platforms have already fired. Ballistic missiles are rising into the night sky, their engines burning bright as they climb toward the edge of space. At the same time, slower weapons are beginning their journey. Cruise missiles skim just above the terrain. Attack drones move silently through the darkness. Together, they form a coordinated strike designed to overwhelm air defenses. Within minutes, warning systems activate across the region. Cities prepare emergency alerts. Military bases switch to full combat readiness, and the first battle of the war begins, not on land, but in the sky. For decades, the Middle East has remained one of the most strategically sensitive regions in the world. Major military powers operate there. Advanced missile systems are deployed across multiple countries, and the region's airspace is constantly monitored by radar networks, satellites, and surveillance aircraft. But when a large-scale conflict begins, all of those systems face their ultimate test. The first 48 hours of any war are the most unpredictable. Commanders rush to understand what is happening. Political leaders try to determine whether the attack is limited or the beginning of something much larger. And air defense systems must respond instantly, because once missiles are airborne, the clock begins ticking. Ballistic missiles can travel thousands of kilometers in less than half an hour. Cruise missiles approach silently at low altitude. Drone swarms may arrive in waves that stretch for hours. Each threat moves differently. Each requires a different response. And every interceptor missile launched by defenders becomes a race against time. Across the region, advanced air defense systems, such as the Iron Dome, Patriot missile system, and Arrow missile defense system, prepare to intercept incoming threats. Missile batteries rotate into firing position. Command centers calculate interception trajectories. Fighter jets begin scrambling from nearby air bases. Within minutes, the skies above the Middle East transform into a battlefield. Streaks of interceptor missiles rise toward incoming targets. Explosions appear high above cities, and radar screens track hundreds of objects moving at incredible speed. For civilians watching from the ground, the sky becomes a spectacle of flashing lights and distant thunder. But for military commanders, this is only the beginning, because the first attack in modern warfare rarely ends the conflict. It starts a chain reaction. One strike leads to another, and in the next 48 hours, the entire region could change. Missile wars do not begin in the air. They begin months or even years before the first launch. Across the region, missile forces operate from a complex network of bases, underground facilities, and mobile launch platforms. Some launchers are hidden in mountain tunnels. Others are mounted on heavy trucks that can move quickly between locations. This mobility is critical, because once a missile is launched, the location that fired it immediately becomes a target. To survive, launch units must constantly relocate. Modern missile forces often rely on a strategy known as distributed launch capability. Instead of firing all missiles from one location, weapons are launched from dozens of different sites. This makes it extremely difficult for the opposing side to destroy them all. Some missiles are prepared hours in advance. Others can be launched within minutes. Ballistic missiles are the fastest weapons in the arsenal. After ignition, their powerful rocket engines push them rapidly into the upper atmosphere. At the peak of their flight, they can reach speeds several times faster than sound. Then gravity pulls them back down toward their targets. Cruise missiles work differently. Instead of traveling high into the sky, they remain close to the ground. Using advanced navigation systems, they follow complex routes designed to avoid radar detection. Meanwhile, drones add another layer of complexity. Unlike missiles, drones can change course mid-flight. They can circle targets. They can wait. And they can arrive hours after the first wave of attacks. When these different weapons are launched together, military planners call it a multi-layered strike. The goal is not only to damage targets, it is to overwhelm defenses. Because air defense systems have limits, interceptor missiles are expensive. Radar operators must prioritize which targets to engage. And if hundreds of threats arrive at once, defenders face an impossible calculation. Which missile should be stopped first? Which target is the real threat? Which radar signal is only a decoy? During the opening hours of war, these decisions happen in seconds. And mistakes can have enormous consequences. As the first wave of missiles approaches its targets, air defense systems across the region move into action. Radar stations track every incoming object. Computers calculate speed, altitude, and trajectory. Within seconds, command systems determine which interceptor should respond. Ballistic missiles are the most urgent threat. Because they travel so fast, defenders have only minutes to stop them. Long-range interceptors launch first. These missiles are designed to collide directly with incoming threats high above the Earth. If successful, the explosion occurs far from populated areas. But not every missile can be intercepted at high altitude. Some slip through, and that is when shorter-range defense systems take over. Systems like the Iron Dome are designed to stop rockets and short-range missiles that approach cities. Meanwhile, advanced fighter aircraft such as the F-35 Lightning II patrol the skies, searching for cruise missiles and drones. Pilots rely on powerful sensors and radar to detect threats that ground systems might miss. Air-to-air missiles launch from fighter jets racing toward their targets. Explosions appear across the sky. Bright flashes illuminate the night. For people watching from the ground, it looks almost unreal. But behind the spectacle lies an extremely complex battle. Hundreds of radar signals, hundreds of decisions, and thousands of calculations happening every second. Because modern air defense is not just about weapons, it is about information. The side that understands the battlefield first gains a major advantage. But even the most advanced systems cannot stop everything. And when a few missiles break through, the conflict begins entering its next phase. And once the first wave of attacks has been launched, retaliation becomes almost inevitable. Military planners begin searching for the source of the strike. Surveillance satellites analyze launch areas. Reconnaissance drones scan the landscape for mobile launchers. Signals intelligence teams attempt to intercept communications between missile units. Within hours, potential targets are identified. Command centers review the information carefully, because striking back too quickly could escalate the conflict further. But waiting too long could allow another wave of missiles to launch. This is one of the most difficult decisions in modern warfare. When to respond, and how strongly. If retaliation is ordered, fighter aircraft may be sent toward missile launch sites. Precision-guided bombs target infrastructure used to support missile operations. Command centers attempt to disrupt communication networks coordinating future attacks. The goal is simple: stop the next wave before it begins. But in practice, it is extremely difficult. Mobile launchers can move quickly. Underground facilities may be heavily protected. And some missile forces operate from remote areas that are hard to reach, which means retaliation often triggers another response, and the cycle continues. As the conflict intensifies, the effects quickly spread beyond the battlefield. Airlines cancel flights across large sections of regional airspace. Commercial aircraft are diverted to safer routes. Naval fleets reposition themselves in nearby waters. Military bases across the region raise their alert levels. Energy markets react almost immediately. Because the Middle East remains one of the world's most important energy hubs, any threat to oil production or shipping lanes could affect global supply. Governments begin monitoring the situation closely. Diplomatic channels activate. International organizations call for restraint. But during the first hours of a major conflict, events move far faster than diplomacy. Decisions made in minutes can shape the entire course of the war, and with each passing hour, the pressure grows. By the end of the first 48 hours, the conflict begins to reveal its true scale. Military commanders assess damage. Air defense units review their performance. Political leaders decide whether the conflict will escalate further or move toward negotiation. Sometimes wars end quickly after the first exchange of strikes, but often they do not. Instead, the opening phase becomes only the beginning. Additional waves of missiles may follow, new targets may be selected, and the battlefield may expand beyond its original borders. Because modern warfare moves extremely fast, and the first 2 days often determine everything that comes next. The skies fall silent. Radar screens return to normal patterns. But everyone understands one thing: the next launch could happen at any moment. And if it does, the next 48 hours might look very different.